Bob, shout out to Horn, man. Horn Jr. Appreciate you. Why are you moving as a matter of fact now? You even more as a matter of fact now. Uh, um, Eddie Hearn says, "Oh, he's old. He just don't care anymore." But you're like on your like freedom of speech times 10 right now. Why is that?
Well, because, again, I've taken care of myself.
Uh-huh.
I have great people. Todd runs a lot of the day to day aspects of the business, Todd DeBuff.
Mhm.
We have a great staff with Carl Moretti, and Brad Jacobs. So that frees me up to shoot my mouth off wherever I want.
Who does it? Or are you in charge? Or because some people say, "Oh,
I'm the
Bob is
I'm the
just."
I'm the CEO, yeah. But to be in charge doesn't mean you have to micromanage every detail.
Got that. So you are in a process because I saw some articles where they said Bob is just talking and Tyler Buff is making all the decisions now.
Well, again, he makes a lot of decisions, but he makes it in consultation with me,
Mm.
and I rely on my people, Todd Moretti, Brad Jacobs. They're really uh, uh, great assets
Mhm.
in making. I mean, that to run it. People ask, "Hey, you and Don King were competitors. How come you're still doing it?" And King is virtually inactive. And the reason is he didn't get people with him who he trusted to make decisions.
Mm.
It's not a one man operation. To be successful long term, and I think Top Rank is an example, you have to have people that you rely on and you allow them to make decisions.
Mm. Okay. What's a bad decision historically that you think that you didn't make good on, or a deal that you just completely blew?
Well, we blew the Mayweather thing.
Uh huh.
Uh, we had a great relationship with Floyd, but again, we didn't see eye to eye on certain things, and losing Floyd Mayweather uh, was not a very good thing for Top Rank. Listen, you can't be in business for 55 years and bat 1,000%.
Right.
Nobody in any sport has that kind of result. You know, if you go 80%, you're doing great.
Mm. What's a decision that you've made that's been good? Like you think, wow, I'm glad I made that move.
Well, a lot of them, a lot of the fights that we did. I mean, like we had Lomachenko, who was one of the great fighters, is one of the great fighters, and we put him in with Tiafimo.
Got that.
Was that a good decision? I don't know. We'll see.
Mm. Bob, I want to
All
ask.
right.
Oh, go ahead, DB. I want to ask on
Yeah,
something.
I just want to go back to this. Bob, I love you from a distance, and I don't want to patronize you. I heard you say the IBF forces mandatories, the WBC, that Mauricio was cool, and the WBA has several belts. But I don't think I got the answer of what was your special relationship with the WBO.
Well, we cooperate with them. We work with them. We lobby for, like every promoter does. We lobby with them to get our fighters in the ratings and so forth. And personally, the WBO, particularly Paco Valcarcel,
Mhm.
is a lovely guy, and we have a terrific relationship with him, social and otherwise, like we have now developed with Mauricio and the WBC. A lot of this in boxing is relationships.
Mm. DB.
Yeah, I understand. Dana White did an interview at the end of 2020, and he said that their financials were in order and that the business was great. So, what do you see that the UFC and Dana White's doing great that we could implement in boxing to make boxing a better sport?
Well, again, I don't know if it's a better sport. If you say would make it more profitable, They have done a
Right.
really good job. But look, their fighters get 20%, if that, of the revenue. Our boxes, whether it's ourselves or Haymon or Eddie, get 80% and more. It's different because they have a near monopoly. There's a big lawsuit that the fighters have brought against the UFC, multi-billion-dollar lawsuit that's in the courts now. They run their business in a way that uh, uh, makes great profits for them, I think, at the expense of the fighters. In boxing, it's totally different. Boxers get the lion's share by far of the revenue. So it's not going to be as profitable as UFC is, where the fighters get a small percentage of the revenue. It's different. Now, what's right or what's wrong? Probably it's right for UFC to do it the way they're doing it. But in boxing, because of the Muhammad Ali Act and other situations, it's not the same. It's different. Listen, if I could pay my fighters 20% of the revenue, I would be a billionaire. And so would any other promoter who has a big platform.
So what do you make of when he says you're robbing the fighters, and there's some conversations in boxing that says, "Oh,
look,
Bob Arum
Dana White." Again, Dana White has learned at the foot of his mentor, Donald Trump. They use things like that, robbing the fighter. Totally untrue. He's robbing the fighter. So now, to distract, he says that promoters are robbing the fighters. It's a Donald Trump trick. I mean, the rhetoric is a Donald Trump type of rhetoric. You know, and I know that we're promoters, whether it's ourselves or Al or Eddie, are paying fighters a much greater percentage of the revenue than the UFC. So to justify the UFC paying 20% of its revenue to the fighters, what does he say? Well, we're entitled to 80%. Of course he won't say that. So he uses the Donald Trump rhetoric. Hey, the boxing promoters are robbing the fighters. Not true.
So he's a crook.
No, it's not a question of a crook.
It's more.
Is he doing anything illegal? I'll let the courts decide. I don't know if he's doing anything illegal. Crook is a really, a term that should be used, judiciously.
Got that.
I don't know if he's a crook, but his economic.
He's not doing right by the fighters. He's not doing right by the fighters.
I don't know. That's for fighters to decide. Maybe fighters, UFC fighters, are happy getting 20% and less of the revenue. Maybe that's okay with them, right? But again, that's not the way promoters treat fighters. That's not the way they've ever treated fighters. It's different.
What's standard in a boxing contract for Top Rank or Golden Boy? What's standard coming out of fighters?
What?
Like,
I don't. Again, looking at the results with Golden Boy, with Eddie, with Al, with ourselves, every promoter will tell you in boxing that 80% or a little bit more of the revenue goes to the fighters. Now, I don't know what's standard, what's not standard, but fighters are compensated much, much greater in boxing than MMA guys. And, sometimes with Al, and that was a criticism that promoters have. Fighters were getting 110, 120% of the revenue. But that was Al's model at one particular point. But it's not sustainable. So again, there is no standard. But if you looked at Golden Boy's books, you looked at Eddie's books, you looked at all promoters' books, all major promoters, you will see that the lion's share by far of the revenue goes to the fighters. And look at the purses that are paid in UFC. Just look at them. And talk to the managers and the fighters in UFC. And talk to them candidly, and they'll tell you what the situation is. Does that make Dana White a crook? No. That's his business model.
Do you think that? Oh, go ahead, DB.
Before we get you out of here,